You are standing in a metal tube 560 feet long and 33 feet wide. There are 140 men living inside it with you. You have been underwater for 6 days. You will be underwater for the next 71 days after that. You do not know exactly where you are. That is deliberate. The navigation system knows. The captain knows. You are not the captain. You are a seaman recruit, and your job today is to memorize every valve, pipe, and emergency shutoff in a compartment the size of a walk-in closet, because if something goes wrong down here, there is no calling for help. There is no surface team standing by. There is only what you know and what the man next to you knows, and whether the two of you together know enough to keep 140 people alive. Welcome to the United States Navy's submarine service. You volunteered for this. Nobody ends up here by accident. You raised your hand, passed a battery of psychological evaluations designed to determine whether you are the kind of person who can function normally in a sealed metal container for months at a time with no sunlight, no fresh air, and no ability to leave. You passed, which means either you are exceptionally well suited for this environment, or you did not fully understand what you were agreeing to. You will know which one within the first 2 weeks. Level 1, Seaman Recruit / Non-Qual. You are a non-qual, non-qualified. It is the lowest possible status on a submarine, and the crew makes sure you understand that. You do not yet have your dolphins, the silver warfare pin that every qualified submariner wears on their chest. Until you earn them, you are furniture. You are tolerated. You are useful for carrying things and cleaning things and standing watch in positions that require a body but not yet a brain. To earn your dolphins, you must qualify on every system aboard this boat. Every system. The nuclear reactor, the ballast tanks, the torpedo room, the oxygen generators, the carbon dioxide scrubbers, the emergency blow system, the fire suppression, the navigation, the communications. You must be able to walk a qualified sailor through any compartment blindfolded and explain what every piece of equipment does, how it fails, and what you do when it fails. This process takes between 1 year and 18 months. You do it on top of your regular duties. You do it on your off-watch time. You do it instead of sleeping. You sleep in a rack that is roughly the dimensions of a coffin with a curtain. 3 racks stacked on top of each other. The man above you and the man below you are on different watch schedules, which means someone is always climbing in or climbing out 6 inches from your face. The boat runs on an 18-hour day divided into 3 6-hour watch rotations, 6 hours on watch, 12 hours off. Of those 12 hours, you will spend 4 or 5 qualifying, 2 eating, 1 doing maintenance, and the remaining hours sleeping, which means you are sleeping 5 or 6 hours in an 18-hour cycle. By week 3, you stop noticing. The smell hits you the first day, and then you stop smelling it. 140 men, 1 air recycling system, diesel and oil and something chemical underneath everything, the particular metallic warmth of machinery running hot in an enclosed space. People back home will ask you what it smells like. You will not be able to answer because your brain filed it away as baseline reality somewhere around day 9 and stopped registering it as a smell at all. You earn $24,000 a year plus submarine pay, which adds $835 a month. You are 19 years old. You have not seen the sun in 3 weeks. You have not spoken to your family in 11 days because the boat is running under communication silence and the message traffic that does get through is one-way only. They can send you a familygram, 50 words, once a week. You can send nothing back. They write into silence and hope you are reading. Level 2. Qualified Submariner / Petty Officer. The dolphin pin weighs almost nothing. You would not know that from how heavy it felt the day they handed it to you. You stood in the crew's mess in front of the men you have spent the last 14 months proving yourself to, and the captain pinned it to your chest. And that was it. No parade, no ceremony beyond the handshakes. You are now a submariner. What changes? The non-quals look at you the way you used to look at everyone else. What does not change? Everything else. The watch rotations, the maintenance, the smell, the 5 hours of sleep, the familygrams. You are a petty officer now. You have a rate, a specialty. Maybe you are an electrician's mate, a machinist's mate, a sonar technician, a fire control technician. Your rate determines where you live on the boat, what systems you own, what failures are your responsibility to diagnose and fix at 3 in the morning when the watch officer is standing behind you and 140 people are downstream of your decision. Your division is your world. 6 to 12 men who share your specialty, your compartment, your watch section. You will know these men more completely than you have known anyone in your life. Not because you chose to, but because proximity at this intensity leaves nowhere to hide. You know who sleeps badly and who snores and who gets quiet when he's worried and who makes jokes when he's scared. You know things about these men that their wives don't know because their wives are on the surface and you are here, and here does not allow for the performance of being fine. The submarine goes deep on exercises, test depth. The hull compresses under pressure and the boat groans. Not loudly, quietly. A sound like the boat settling its weight like a house in winter. The first time you hear it, you look at the man next to you. He does not look up from what he is doing. After a while, you stop looking up too. Level 3, Leading Petty Officer/Chief Selectee. You have 3 deployments behind you. You have been underwater for approximately 500 days of your life, which is not a number you calculated deliberately, but which you know with the casual certainty of someone who has stopped thinking of it as unusual. You are a leading petty officer. You run the day-to-day operations of a work center. You are responsible for the qualification progress of the non-quals in your division. You are responsible for the maintenance schedules, the equipment logs, the readiness of systems that if they fail at the wrong moment, end the mission or end the boat. The chiefs are watching you. Whether you become a chief is not decided by a test score, though there is a test. It is decided by a board of chiefs who have been observing how you lead, how you handle pressure, how you behave when the watch officer gives a wrong order and you are the one who knows it is wrong. Do you say so? How do you say so? Do you let it go because the rank structure says to let it go? Or do you understand that on a submarine, the rank structure exists to accomplish a mission and the mission requires you to speak when you know something the person above you does not? You have seen men fail this test both ways. Men who deferred when they should have spoken and men who challenged when they should have trusted. The line between them is not written down anywhere. It is something you learn by watching chiefs who got it right and by carrying the memory of the time, 18 months ago, when you almost got it wrong. Level 4, Chief Petty Officer. You are a chief. The transition from petty officer to chief petty officer in the submarine service is not a promotion in the way the word is usually used. It is closer to a change in kind than a change in degree. You stop being a technician who leads and become a leader who applies technical knowledge. The distinction sounds minor. It is not minor. You are the interface between the officers and the enlisted crew. The officers have the authority. You have the knowledge and the trust. When the executive officer needs to know if the crew can sustain one more week of operations before the fatigue becomes a safety variable, he does not consult a report. He asks you, because you know. You have been watching these men for months and you know which ones are running on competence now rather than energy, and which ones have reserve left, and which ones are 6 days from a mistake. You manage maintenance at a level that requires holding an entire machinery system in your head simultaneously. Not just what it does, but how it ages, how it fails, what the early signs of a problem look like 3 weeks before the problem becomes visible to anyone running a diagnostic. You catch things. That is the job. Catching things before they become the kind of thing that gets written into an incident report. You earn $65,000 a year. You have been in the Navy for 12 years. You have missed 2 of your daughter's birthdays, one of them the 5th, which she still mentions. Not in an accusatory way, in the way that children mention things that formed them before they had the vocabulary to say what it meant. You were underwater on a boat with no communication window on the day she turned 5, and the familygram that arrived from your wife 3 days later said she blew out the candles and asked if you could hear her from the water. You read it in the crew's mess, and then you folded it and put it in your pocket and went back to work because that is what the job requires, and you knew that when you signed the contract, and the knowing does not make it smaller. Level 5, Diving Officer/Lieutenant. You are the diving officer of the watch. You stand at the con and you control the depth and trim of the boat. The plainsman and helmsman respond to your orders. You are responsible for maintaining ordered depth within 2 feet, ordered course within 1 degree, and doing it quietly because a submarine's primary defense is silence, and your job is to manage 9,000 tons of steel moving through water with the acoustic signature of something that does not exist. You are a junior officer, a lieutenant, 3 or 4 years out of the Naval Academy, or ROTC. You qualified submarines. You have a warfare pin. You are new enough that the chiefs are still teaching you things, which the good chiefs do directly and the less experienced chiefs do through the careful arrangement of situations in which you learn them yourself. The boat is a system, and your job is to understand the system at a level that lets you hold the con when the captain is off watch and make decisions in the seconds before the captain can be woken and brought to the control room. This window, between the moment something changes and the moment the captain arrives, is yours. It is brief. In those seconds, the officer of the deck and the diving officer are the boat. You have stood those watches. You have felt that weight. Most of the time, nothing happens, and the watch is 4 hours of precise, attentive, very quiet monotony. Twice something happened. Once a navigation anomaly. Once an equipment casualty in the engineering spaces that required immediate maneuvering. Both times you made the calls. Both times they were the right calls. You know they were the right calls because nothing went wrong, which on a submarine is the only confirmation you ever receive. Level 6, Executive Officer. You are the XO, second in command of a nuclear submarine. You run the boat. The captain commands it, sets the mission, makes the critical decisions, interfaces with fleet, and you run it, which means you are responsible for everything that is not the captain's specific domain, which is most of everything. You manage the crew's qualification program, the watch bill, the maintenance cycle, the food supply, the morale, the disciplinary issues, the personnel evaluations, the training schedule, the communication windows, and approximately 40 other ongoing concerns that surface on any given day with no warning and require decisions before the next watch rotation. You are the person who knows the crew, not just their rates and ranks and qualification status, but who they are. The engineman second class whose father died 3 months ago and who has been performing adequately but not well, and who you are watching carefully because adequately is not the standard and you need to know whether this is grief resolving or grief compounding. The fire control technician who qualified ahead of schedule and whom you are considering for a recommendation that will determine the next phase of his career and who does not know you are considering it. The petty officer who came to you 6 weeks ago with something he could not bring to anyone else and which you handled in the way that it needed to be handled, and who now does his job with the particular focused intensity of a man who has been told he is valued. You have not been home in 94 days. You have 18 days left in this deployment. You know this because you count. Everyone counts. The count is not something you discuss. It is something you carry, quietly, underneath the work. Level 7, Commanding Officer. You are the captain. There are approximately 70 submarine commanding officers in the United States Navy. You are one of them. You command a nuclear-powered fast attack submarine, 140 men, a reactor that could power a city, and weapons capable of ending one. Your qualification process was longer than any other path to command in the American military. 20 years. Nuclear power school, prototype training, multiple sea tours, department head, executive officer, prospective commanding officer school, the PCO course where commanders who have done this job train you in the particular loneliness of doing it. And then a Commodore handed you a set of orders and said the boat is yours. Command is quiet. That surprises people who haven't done it. You imagined it would feel like authority. What it feels like is weight. The authority was always there, was implicit in every rank you held on the way up. The weight is new. It is specific to the fact that these 140 men are yours. Their safety, their performance, their families waiting on the surface, their careers, their lives in the most literal sense. And the decisions you make in this control room have no appeal process and no committee and no second signature required. You receive a mission tasking that puts you in waters you cannot discuss, for purposes that will not appear in any public record. You brief your officers. You do not tell them everything because everything is compartmented above the level of this briefing. They trust you to have the full picture. You have the full picture. It is heavier than the partial picture they carry. There is a moment in every deep water transit where the boat is below 400 feet and running silent and the control room is dim and everyone is focused and the only sounds are the quiet machinery of the boat doing what it was built to do. And you stand at the con and you look at these men and you understand that this is the most capable, most precise, most demanding thing you have been asked to do in your life, and that you are doing it, and that you will continue to do it until they send someone to relieve you. You earn $130,000 a year. You have been in the Navy for 20 years. You will command this boat for 3 years, and then you will hand it to someone else and move to a staff position where you will advise people who have not done this about what it requires. You will be good at the staff position, but there is only one thing that felt like this. And when you surface for the last time as commanding officer and the crew is topside on the deck in the sunlight and the coast is visible and someone's family is waiting at the pier, you will stand on the bridge and you will look at this boat, this machine, this world, this life, and you will understand that whatever comes next is different in a way that has no name yet. You gave this boat years that you cannot get back. The boat gave you something you cannot explain to anyone who has not stood where you are standing. That exchange does not balance on any ledger you know how to keep. You keep it anyway. Level 8, Submarine Squadron Commander/Commodore. You command a squadron of submarines. 6 to 8 boats, their crews, their commanding officers, the entire operational and administrative apparatus that keeps them at sea and combat ready. You are a Captain 06, and you have earned this posting by doing everything above it correctly for 22 years. You no longer go to sea. That is the cost no one mentions in the orders. You stand on the pier and you watch the boats depart and you track them on boards in a building that smells of recycled air and fluorescent lighting and not at all of machinery or salt. And you manage from a distance the thing you spent your career managing from inside. The COS who command your boats are your responsibility. When one of them makes a decision that the fleet questions, you are the first call. When one of them is struggling, not failing, not yet, but moving in a direction, You are the person who has the conversation, the quiet one, the one where you sit across from a commanding officer who is very good at their job and tell them the thing they do not know about themselves yet, the thing you saw in their weekly reports and in the gap between what their XO is telling them and what their XO is telling you. You have had that conversation 4 times. Twice it changed the trajectory. Once it didn't, and the CO was relieved 8 weeks later for something you saw coming and could not stop. You think about that one. Specifically, you think about the conversation you had and what you said and what you did not say, and whether a different version of that conversation changes the outcome. You do not know. You will not know. Level 9, Submarine Force, Commander/Flag Officer. You are a Rear Admiral. You command the submarine force of an entire fleet. Every fast attack submarine, every ballistic missile submarine, every crew, every deployment, every mission assigned to your force flows through your headquarters. The ballistic missile submarines are the part that stays with you. Ohio-class boats, each carrying up to 20 Trident II missiles, each missile carrying multiple independently targeted warheads. You have the operational authority within the command structure to be part of the chain that releases those weapons. That authority exists in a document you have read and a set of procedures you have trained until they are reflex, and it exists in the understanding that the entire architecture of nuclear deterrence, the reason those weapons have not been used in 80 years, depends on adversaries believing that you would use them. The deterrent only functions if the threat is credible. The threat is only credible if the people holding it are genuinely willing. You are. You have decided that. You decided it quietly, alone, in a way that does not come up in conversation and does not appear on any form, and you carry it the way you carry everything at this level, as a fact about yourself that you have made peace with and that does not benefit from further examination. You brief the CNO. You brief the Secretary of Defense. You sit in rooms where the decisions have consequences that are not measured in careers or deployments but in the shape of the next several decades of global security, and you give your best judgment clearly without hedging it into uselessness. And then you live with the decisions that get made and execute them through the force you command. You started in a 560-foot metal tube 400 feet below the surface. You are still in that tube, in the way that matters. Everything you know about what is possible, about what people can endure, about what precision and discipline and shared purpose actually look like when they are functioning at their highest level. All of it came from there. The flag on your collar came from a career of decisions and evaluations and assignments. The judgment behind it came from the boat. You will retire eventually. You will give a speech. You will shake hands with people who served with you and people who served under you and a few people who served over you for whom you have a specific and complicated kind of gratitude. You will drive home on a Tuesday afternoon and you will pull into your driveway and you will sit in the car. Not because you are not ready to go inside, because you want one more moment before the transition. One moment where you are still, fully, what the last 30 years made you. The house is right there. Your family is right there. The surface world that continued without you for all those months underground, all those years of deployments and missing things and familygrams and 5-hour sleep cycles and the smell you stopped smelling by day 9 of the first patrol. All of it is right there through that door. You get out of the car. You walk inside. You leave the submarine in the driveway. It stays there. It always stays there.